What's cracking, internet? Did you miss me? I missed me. I finally got something to chat about on a video. It's been a while. Haven't been on video in, God, 8, 9 months now? It's been a rough year. Anyhow, as predicted, the City of London is finally on board with microshelters. Hooray! Right? That's awesome. That's groovy. That's glorious. And then I get an answer from yet another email that I sent to City Council. Granted, at least this time I got an answer. And it was from Sean Lewis, of all people. Which, that's progress. At least they answered me this time. Connie Raymond, I'm not actually sure what her last name is. I only see it spelled. And then Susan Stevenson, they also replied, just, your usual, thank you for emailing us, nothing special. I tend to get those from them every time I email City Council. But yeah, Sean Lewis, wow. I appreciate the response, Sean. I'm not so sure I like it. I think you showed your cards a bit too much. Let's see. For those of you who have me on Instagram and Facebook, you've seen the letter that we fired off to City Council. The letter where we very much underrated a few of our estimates for costs of building a 60-person Conestoga hut community. Staff of 20 at $30,000 a year salary. Obviously, $30,000 a year is not enough for starting pay. That's been pointed out a few times. It's been a few years since I've paid attention to what minimum wage was. That's on me. At the same time, this is an opportunity for at least anybody who replies to that letter to, at least show how in touch they are with the lower class poor people like myself who, are earning barely above minimum wage. And, for anybody who thinks that that's, not nearly enough income for anybody working in a shelter or micro-shelter community, I applaud you. You're right, it's not enough. It shouldn't be enough. They should be getting paid a whole heck of a lot more. Heck, all shelter staff. I've worked in enough shelters now to be able to say, we don't get paid well. That's why I stopped working in shelters. Yeah. On top of that, there was the $100,000 estimate for washrooms and a kitchen. As Sean pointed out, there's no plan for there to be a permanent kitchen or a permanent washroom erected on the site because the site's not meant to be a permanent location. It's only meant to be there for tops 2 years. Okay. I already disagree with the only having it there for 2 years thing. That stinks of a Band-Aid solution yet again. But anyhow, that being said, $100,000 is not going to build you washrooms and a kitchen. $100,000 is going to get you a cabin with some microwaves and maybe a couple porta potties, especially if it's got to last for 2 years. You got to figure, you got to pay to have people empty out these porta potties, you got to pay to have them maintenanced and cleaned and serviced, and yeah, you're not going to get a full kitchen for $100,000 either. You're going to get at best a room with a microwave in it, which is all most of the people out there really need. I did it 3 years with just a fire pit. I didn't even have a microwave. I'm still trying to learn how to use an oven all over again because I fry everything. I got so used to frying everything in cast iron. Granted, cast iron does make things taste better, just saying. But yeah. So, what really got my goat, though, was when Sean Lewis pointed out that this micro-shelter community is not to be a long-term permanent solution. I don't think the people staying in it should be there long-term. My program is only designed for 12 months at a time. That being said, what the hell? We can't just have another temporary solution. We've been doing temporary solutions for 5, 6, 7 years now. We need a long-term, permanent solution, something that can help people, and not just one generation. It needs to help one generation, 2 generation, 3 generation. It needs to help each year. It needs to be helping new people. It needs to be more than just a stopgap. As Mr. Lewis put it, this microshelter community is only supposed to be in existence long enough for other housing projects to get completed, and then these people are supposed to move into those housing projects. Great, awesome, wonderful, love to hear that. Then what? And it bugs me to have to say this because I'm pretty sure it was Susan Stevenson at the last council meeting there where they approved these microshelters. It bugs me to have to say that I agree with Sue Stevenson. What is the exit plan? What is the end game? There needs to be more. And to say that this is just a place to get people out of the way, I mean, the majority of Mr. Lewis's response was taken up with him pointing out that they want people as far away from the core as possible, as far away from businesses and homes as possible. I understand that. And I personally am of the opinion that yes, these people, a lot of them will thrive greater if they are taken away from the areas where they are more influenced in negative ways. That I cannot deny. You take people away from the areas where they're always using drugs. I've always said when it comes to getting sober, you're better off leaving town and forgetting everybody you know. It will make it so much easier. I know it sucks. And you have to rebuild everything from scratch again. But that is, in my experience, one of the most successful ways. It's not the only successful way, but it is a successful way of obtaining sobriety. Leave the city that you're in, leave the area that you're in, and get support, get help, and get a fresh start. That works for a lot of people. That being said, you have to realize that the people in these shelter systems are not only addicts, especially ones that are going to be placed in a microshelter community. Because in a microshelter community, you need to have mental health supports. You need to have life skills classes. You need to have, medication, which means you have to see a doctor on a regular basis. There's going to be disabled people, people with walkers, people with scooters, people with leg injuries, heart injuries, people on disability. These people need access to medical care, mental care, addiction support services, and it needs to be consistent and stable access. And for most of them, that means taking the bus. If you're putting people so far away that they cannot reliably access a bus route to get to the support systems they need, you're gonna have a problem. I promise you. You're going to have. Not only that, but if you're making it so hard and putting people so far away that it takes the ambulance 20 minutes or even 10 minutes to get there, what happens if somebody does smuggle drugs or something into these places and then they overdose? If nobody is there to save them and the EMS is taking 10 minutes to get there, that's a problem. What happens if somebody lights their house on fire? And now you have, 5 minutes to get that fire put out before the next house beside it catches fire. I hope the fire department can get there fast enough, because otherwise we got a problem, man. We got a pretty big problem, if you ask me. I don't know. Just food for thought. You know me. I like to get angry and make videos, so that's what we did. On that note, you're going to be seeing this face a whole lot more again. I've got all kinds of new stuff to talk about. Admittedly, I'm not living it and working in the shelter systems anymore. I am still living and working in an industry that helps people, although at this point in time, I'm helping people with medical issues. And, I don't mind it. Helping people's helping people, one way or another. But yeah, so let me know your thoughts on the microshelters. What do you think? What do you guys want to see happen? Are you happy with just another Band-Aid solution? Or do you want to see real, permanent, lasting change? Let me know what you think. That being said, have a wonderful October. I'll be back in a week or two. We got our reverse Halloween coming up. We're going to be killing it. We're going to be grooving. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. Stay harm-free, guys. Cheers.